If you love American history, rare coins, and stories that bring back memories of a different time, then hit that subscribe button right now. Because today we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins ever minted in the United States, this coin 1971 Kennedy half dollar. Now, before we even begin, take a second and think back to 1971. The early 70s were a time of big change in America. Vietnam was still in the headlines. Gas was about 36 cents a gallon, and a brand new Chevy cost less than $3,000. The country was trying to move forward after the loss of one of its most beloved leaders, President John F. Kennedy. And that's where our story begins, with a coin created out of grief, pride, and the hope of unity. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, just months after President Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas. Americans were devastated, and the U.S. Mint wanted to honor him with a design that would forever capture his legacy. The coin was released that year in solid silver, and people lined up by the thousands to get one. They didn't just spend them. They saved them, cherished them, and passed them down. It wasn't just money, it was a memory in metal. But by 1971, things had changed. The price of silver had skyrocketed, and the government decided it was time to stop using silver in most coins. That's why the 1971 Kennedy half dollar became the very first of its kind struck in copper nickel clad instead of silver. It looked the same, felt the same, but the metal inside told a new story, a story about the end of the silver era in American coinage. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. On the front of the coin, you'll see that familiar, powerful profile of John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. And on the back, the bold presidential seal created by Frank Sparrow. Together, they made one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. But even though hundreds of millions of these 1971 half dollars were made, not all of them are the same. Some carry secrets that have stunned collectors for decades. You see, when the mint switched from silver to clad that year, a few mistakes happened. And one of those mistakes created a coin that has become legendary. Somewhere in the mint's process, a handful of 1971 Kennedy half dollars were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets meant for 1970 coins. That means a few silver 1971 half dollars slipped out into the world before anyone realized it. And once collectors discovered this error, the hunt was on. Imagine picking up what looks like an ordinary 1971 half dollar, only to find out it was made of silver, a mistake that wasn't supposed to exist. That's the kind of story coin collectors dream about. And that's why people today are still searching their old jars, drawers, and coin rolls hoping to find one of these silver errors. Now, let's talk about the details that make a 1971 Kennedy half dollar special. The regular coins minted in Philadelphia and Denver are made of copper and nickel and usually show a D mint mark for Denver or no mint mark at all for Philadelphia. But the rare ones, those elusive silver planchet strikes, can be identified by their distinct ring when dropped on a hard surface and by their slightly different color and weight. Instead of weighing 11.34 grams like a clad coin, a silver one weighs about 11.5 grams, just enough for a trained collector to notice. There's also a small number of proof coins from the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, which were made for collectors. Even these can be valuable if they're in perfect condition, especially the ones graded at the top of the scale. Over the years, these coins have carried more than just monetary worth. They've carried memories. They were part of change machines and diners, handed out as tips, and tucked into drawers as lucky keepsakes. Many of the men watching this right now probably remember getting a Kennedy half dollar as a kid, feeling the weight of it in your palm, and thinking, this isn't just a coin, this is history. And that feeling is exactly what makes these pieces so treasured. They connect us to a time when America was finding its way again, and every half dollar felt like a tribute to a president who inspired a generation. But here's the part that will really make your jaw drop. Among the countless 1971 Kennedy half dollars out there, a few ultra-rare specimens have surfaced that defy belief. One of these rare silver errors, authenticated and graded in pristine condition, shocked the coin world when experts valued it at up to $4 million. That's right, a coin most people once spent on a Coke and a bag of chips could now be worth more than a mansion. Next time you're going through your old change jar or sorting through that box of coins you tucked away decades ago, pay attention to this coin 1971 United States half dollars coin history, this coin 1972 Kennedy half dollar. You might think you've seen this coin 100 times before, but tonight, you're going to look at it in a way you never have before. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why one special version of this very coin has been valued an incredible $2 million. Now let's go back to the early 1970s, a time when America was changing fast. Vietnam, the space race, the Nixon years. The nation was trying to move forward, but the memory of President John F. Kennedy was still strong in every American heart. Nearly a decade after his assassination, his face on the half dollar still carried emotion, pride, and even a bit of mystery. Every time you picked up one of those shiny coins, it wasn't just 50 cents. It was a piece of history, a reminder of a man whose dream for America had been cut short. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins had no mint mark. Denver coins carried the familiar D, and the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins marked with an S. But not all these coins were created equal. The Philadelphia and Denver coins were minted in massive numbers, over 295 million combined, and most of them circulated heavily. By then, silver had long been removed from the regular coinage, replaced by a copper-nickel-clad composition. It was the first generation of Americans getting used to money that didn't quite have the same ring when dropped on a table. Yet, even though these were everyday coins, there was something different about the 1972 issue. It was the year collectors began to realize that not all Kennedy halves were the same. The design on the reverse side, the image of the eagle clutching the olive branch and arrows, showed minor but important differences. Some 1972 coins from Philadelphia were struck using an outdated reverse design meant for proof coins. The details in the islands of Florida and the Caribbean near the eagle's claws were different, and that tiny difference created one of the most sought-after varieties of the entire Kennedy series, the 1972 No FG and Type 2 reverse. Now, the No FG refers to coins where the initials of the coin's designer, Frank Asparo, are missing from the lower right side of the reverse. It might seem small, but it's a big deal in the world of coin collecting. The absence of those tiny initials makes these coins rare, and collectors will pay handsomely for them, especially in high grades. But the real star of 1972 is the Type 2 reverse, a variety that wasn't supposed to exist on circulation coins at all. This design was meant only for proof strikes. Yet somehow, a small batch of Philadelphia business strike coins was made using those dies. Finding one is like uncovering buried treasure. Most collectors will never see one in person. When one does appear, it becomes the talk of the coin community. The difference lies in the coastline of Florida and the Caribbean islands on the reverse. They appear smoother, with sharper, more distinct lines, exactly like the proof coins from San Francisco. Spotting one takes a keen eye, a magnifying glass, and a bit of luck. Imagine for a moment the hands that might have held one of these coins. Maybe it passed through a gas station in 1972, maybe it jingled in a kid's pocket on the way to a soda machine, or maybe it sat in a jar for decades, waiting to be rediscovered. That's what makes the hunt for coins like this so exciting. It's not just about the metal, it's about the story. Over the years, collectors have come to appreciate the Kennedy half dollar not just for its beauty, but for what it represents: the hope, tragedy, and legacy of an American era. It's a coin that bridges generations. Many of you watching right now might remember getting one of these in change for the first time, or maybe you still have a roll tucked away in a drawer somewhere. If so, now might be the perfect time to take another look. Check the reverse of your 1972 Kennedy half dollar carefully. Look for the tiny differences, the missing initials, the smooth coastlines, the sharper details. Because while most 1972 halves are worth just a few dollars in uncirculated condition, one exceptional version, a pristine Type 2 reverse example with nearly flawless condition, stunned collectors when it was valued at a jaw-dropping $2 million. This coin 1972 Kennedy half-dollar coin history, that's right. $2 million for a single Kennedy half-dollar. So, before you cash in that old change jar, take a moment. Look closely. The treasure you've been looking for might be sitting right in your own home, hidden in plain sight. And if you love stories like this one, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, because every coin has a story, and some are worth a whole lot more than 50 cents.